What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. It's time for us to have a very important conversation on my YouTube channel. So, me being a native of Chicago, Illinois, I've noticed the impact that drill music has had on the entire world, right? Both negative and bad. A couple of years ago, I joked on YouTube that Chief Keef, one of the pioneers of the drill movement, period, right? I said Chief Keef gave more youth in Chicago jobs than the mayor at the time, Rahm Emanuel, right? He gave them employment opportunities, chances to get money in their pockets by just getting a cameraman to record a video in the alley, in their bedroom, in the basement, in the living room, on their front porch, and just make a song and make it catchy, and the world would gravitate to it, and people would get money from it, right? From the video being monetized on YouTube, so on and so forth, right? So he gave a lot of people a lane to try to get money in, especially in Chicago, because at the time the magnifying glass was on the music scene, the drill scene in Chicago. When Chief Keef came out, he opened the floodgates for Chicago artists to be recognized, for Chicago artists to be signed, and for Chicago artists to get a certain type of exposure, right? But on the other hand, I look at the negative effects of drill music. I've seen the destruction that drill music has encouraged, for sure. And I'm 29 years old, right? So I'm not that young, but I'm young enough, right? I'm young enough, but I've lived life for a little minute, and I can see when things are going in the wrong direction, and I can admit when they're going in a negative direction, even when I enjoy the music itself. Sometimes I feel like a hypocrite. I enjoy the drill music, right? When Keef first dropped, I was listening to Keef, Dirk, King Louie, Bibby, Herb, FBG Duck, P. Rico. I thought P. Rico was dope. I was listening to began listening to Polo G years later on. Was listening to a lot of the drill artists coming out of the city, and I was a fan of it, and I continue to be a fan of the music today, right? Even when Vaughn came on the scene, and a lot of the Shoebox Baby, all these other different artists rapping in the city. I just started to become, I was always listening to the music, but I feel like a hypocrite because I know the destruction that it has encouraged. It has, now I'll say this. The violence between these different neighborhoods and different sets in Chicago was happening before these artists became popular. The violence was already happening before these artists, started getting millions and millions of views. They took the street beef and put it on wax, but at the same time, it amplified the street beef, and I would be ignorant to ignore that. Certain things were said on songs that it was no taking back. People were dead. People were disrespected on a regular basis. I mean, some of the most craziest disrespectful lyrics were spewed over the airwaves, right? Over YouTube and so on and so forth. And when that happened, it caused the violence to keep going in a never-ending cycle. But at the same time, it encouraged other regions to pick up that same type of mantra, the same type of to pick up the same type of motives. I remember when I heard King Louie say he had a song called To Live and Die in Chicago, and he said, "My city influenced my country, can't get away from Chicago." That was some of the truest lyrics I ever heard. Because after that, people started using Chicago slang, ops, thought, getting top, all these different words people started using and adapting to their own culture in their hometown. People started to be disrespectful in their music. And it was a race to up the ante. I'll say this thing disrespectful. First it was saying stuff in the music disrespectful. Then I started looking at the rap scenes around the world. People were taking that formula, the drill formula, and trying to run with it. I mean, making the most disrespectful songs where people are, I'm talking about saying vile, vicious stuff over pop songs, so on and so forth. Then you got people going to people's grave sites. I've seen people urinating on grave sites. Some of the most despicable, vile things that make you like lose faith in humanity. And so I had to take a step back and say, man, like I enjoy the music, but I see what it encouraged. And again, you can't blame another man for another man's actions, one man for another man's actions. But at the same time, a lot of these young dudes wanted to get rich quick. And they saw that the drill scene where, in Chicago, where dudes was disrespecting dead opposition, people was name dropping, talking about all the stuff they did. People had the big guns in the videos. They got all the views. It got clicks. It got some artists signed. And that's a bigger discussion from, the record labels, promoting the, going and running and go get these artists. But I can say the same thing. I was listening to the music. So as long as we were listening to it, the record labels were going to go try to get those artists because that is what the world was listening to. And I'm a big hip hop fan, right? Humongous. I listen to all type of rap music. Conscious, backpacker rap. I listen to rap with just melodies. I listen to the drill rap. I listen to trap rap. I've always enjoyed music, rap, hip hop music that had a street element to it. I was never a street dude. I never played in the streets. Me being in Chicago, Illinois, a gang infested city. I never joined a gang or none of that, right? But it was around me 24/7. I was living in some wild hoods, right? This was where we was at with it. I had to go to the store in these neighborhoods, had to go play basketball in them neighborhoods, take the CTA bus to get to school in these wild neighborhoods and environments. So it wasn't far-fetched for me to see, the stuff that's being rapped about in the songs. Dudes with guns, dudes fighting, dudes gang banging, dudes selling drugs on the block, stuff like that. Like I was seeing it. But that wasn't the reason why I just thought it was just, whatever. I thought it was fly the way dudes would talk about street stuff and use metaphors and similes to get their point across. I thought it was a creative thing, and I thought the beats was fire. Thought dudes had nice flows. Dudes had they had nice flows, they had nice deliveries, so on and so forth. And I was entertained by it. I'm still entertained by it. I would be a liar to say I'm not entertained by great drill artists. I am. But I still recognize what occurred from these artists getting popping. Me listening to the music led the record labels to pick these artists up, and it caused other artists around the nation to feel like, in order for me to get on, I got to do that. And so they tried to take it a notch above Chicago stuff. But being in somebody's grave, these people have families and mothers and so on and so forth. And it's just like, and one can say, well, them people that were being dissed in songs, they got mothers and kids and brothers and sisters and so on and so forth. And they don't want to hear that. So, yeah, I recognize, even though the music gave young brothers a chance to get rich and escape their circumstances, it also perpetuated violence to a different level. It became a race to be who can be the most disrespectful. And in seeing that, I even heard of, I think a while ago, man, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, a woman was at the graveside of her son. I don't know if this was a true story or not. I should have looked it up. I'm just thinking about it now. If the individual tried to shoot at the mom or something like that. When the mom was at the son's graveside, it was just some ignorant, despicable things. And I'm like, wow. That's when I was like, yo, stuff is getting way crazy. Even I can enjoy certain music from artists, certain stuff crazy. And it needs to be stopped. Even when I say these, and I'm be singing these songs, I'm never saying, like, it's certain lyrics I don't even repeat when I'm singing a song, because I know it's just disrespectful stuff towards another person who may be still living, who may not be here, whatever. And I don't want to make it a habit of even letting certain stuff like that come out of my mouth. And one can argue, Mac, why you listen to that music? And again, I told y'all, I don't know. I'm just real conflicted. It's like J. Cole said, I swear I feel like Huey mixed with Riley. Thursday, I be trying to say the world, but then on Friday, I hit the club. So one part of me like, man, this is wrong. This is vile. That shouldn't be said. But then I'm still listening to the music and listening to certain artists, so on and so forth. But I recognize the negativity that it caused. The music is so prevalent now, it's caused our generation to be desensitized. So when we hear violence, to where you got fans in the comment section of these YouTube videos instigating beefs, talking about it, laughing at beefs, laughing at deaths, like we watching an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Like this is like a damn a sitcom or a soap opera, like a hood ghetto soap opera, and it's not. It's real life. So when I see little kids and suburban kids laughing at the deaths of individuals and mocking it as if they're a part of these neighborhoods and blocks, is when it becomes wild and outlandish. Because even though I listen to the music, you would never catch me laughing at nobody death, promoting it, trying to claim a block that I'm not from, or like it's. And again, it don't even got nothing to do with me just being here and knowing the ramifications of doing so. At the same time, I know who I am, and that's not me, and I can separate the music to know that I can't go and do this in real life. This is not me. I can take it for what it is and it can be music. But you got some youth who are impressionable, who see certain artists and on the drill scene, they look up to them, so they want to emulate that. They want to lead a life of destruction. They want to be known and get respect for certain things they heard their favorite drill rapper do. And next thing you know, they on that crazy, they on that, they start getting into a whirlwind, and they in a spiral they can't get out of. So I recognize that, the negativity that has been caused from drill music. Man, I'm telling y'all, I done seen some stuff that occurred and can directly associate it with the movement that came out of my city. And I'm a very prideful man. I love Chicago. I'm telling y'all, like, I love Chicago with all that's in me. Despite the negative stuff that's happened here at times, and despite the negative rap that we get, I know this is a beautiful city with a lot to offer. We got one of the best downtowns you could ever see in your life. Some of the best food, best entertainment, best activities against entertainment, but best scenery, some amazing beaches. I mean, like landmarks, historic landmarks, all type of just beautiful, rich history. And we get all 4 seasons, so we get every single type of weather you can think of. It's not just cold here 24/7 like some people would think. But, this is a beautiful city for sure. So I'm always like, I don't want my city to just be known as a place that bred destruction, because it was a lot of great things that came out of the city and great people that came out of this city. Some great people that made contributions to American society and to the world, straight from Chicago. So, I don't want it to just be looked at like as a violence hub. But that is what is being promoted by the artists that coming out the city and by the mainstream media, television media in particular, the news outlets, the national news outlets. So, yeah, but I recognize what drill, the impact that drill has played on negative interactions around the world. You got dudes in the UK wanting to be the second coming of a lot of these drill artists. And the drill rap was predicated on, if like the rappers became more popular, it seemed, the more people felt like you were living your raps for real. All the individuals that was major in the scene, a lot of them were like, when they found out you were living there for real, it boosted your status. And if you wasn't living it for real, people were starting to speculate or starting to clown you, whatever. But even if you wasn't, some artists felt propelled or felt like encouraged to try to live out everything so that people can never point them out as a fraud or a flawed individual. So now you got people not only rapping like Chicago artists with the drill stuff and the violence and all the type of disrespectful dissing. Now they want to live it out. Now, again, to make themselves seem credible, to make themselves seem like they're the real deal, to substantiate them as genuine in everything that they saying. Now they going out and they sliding on the ops and shooting and all of this just to make sure their name is solidified in the street to where it cannot be questioned. And then we got young boys going into prison because they're gonna go to jail now. This is not Dragon Ball Z. It's not a video game, despite what the people on YouTube try to narrate it as in the comments. You're gonna get caught. You commit a murder, you're gonna go to jail. You shooting at people, you almost kill somebody, you kill somebody, you're gonna go to jail, brother. And you're gonna be gone for a very long time. And then when you're in jail, you're forced to sit and think about everything that you've done. And you have to live with those consequences. And it's a lot of wet pillows in jail because they're crying in the pillow at night because they realize I just threw away my life, for 30 years off of trying to be popular on social media. So it's like, man, like, I mean, like, it's kind of like when Colin Kaepernick situation with the NFL, right? I was supporting Cap and I was all for him, kneeling and protesting against police brutality, against unarmed black people in America. And then I was still watching my Chicago Bears at the same time. And I'm like, wow, I felt like such a hypocrite. But I admitted that I was still watching the sports, because I again, there's a fan of the sports and I was doing my channel, talking about sports, so on and so forth. So I was always watching the games and being heavily invested in the games, not financially, but with my fandom of the team, of my hometown team, watching. I was like, man, I see Cap ain't got no job, so I felt conflicted in if I should have boycotted the NFL in its entirety, or I should have been watching, but I continued to watch. So it's the same thing. Like, I enjoy the music, the drill music that coming out, and like I enjoy the music that came from other rappers that's not technically a part of the drill culture, even though they talk about violence in their raps. I love listening to 50, Rick Ross, Jadakiss, Tip, right? Jigga, Nas. I like talking about. I love listening to Jeezy, Gucci, all these different individuals I love listening to, right? And it was Element of Violence and all these dudes' music, without question, right? So, and I still love listening to it, even though I know that a lot of the messages aren't the most positive messages. It was just my hope that a lot of people would be like I am, and they can't count on people you can't count on people being like you are, but understand that the music was just simply music and entertainment, and it wasn't anything for like any person, kid or adult to emulate, and it wasn't nothing to like try to it wasn't nothing to what's what I'm looking for. I wasn't expecting these rappers to be living it out and none of that. It was just entertainment for me. And I understood that I could never go out there and do any of that because I'm going to go to jail, right? And I was hoping that other people would have that type of conscience, but unfortunately, everybody's different, man. Certain people are more impressionable than others. Certain people weren't raised in a certain manner to recognize, or raised to be taught to be leaders and not followers, so on and so forth. And people become impressionable and follow the trends, whether they're negative or good. And but I recognize that the amount of destruction that the drill music has caused, it's caused people to want to rap about violence and then live it out and be one of the most heinous individuals with the most impressive street reputation. And I tell young men all the time, though, you can try to do all that all you want to. Gonna come with only one or two outcomes. A lot of times it come with dead or in jail. But if you're not dead or in jail and you get out, you be graceful, you be grateful, and you be appreciative of it. Because a lot of individuals don't have the same positive fate. So, yeah, man, but I recognize what it has done and how it has head itching. How it just caused everybody to just feel like violence is something that should be laughed at or joked about or presented in a way that's comical or satirical at times. And again, and not following certain outlets, because I was watching DJ Academics and stuff and thought it was funny. But then as an adult, thought it was entertaining. But then as an adult, I recognized, something should have been said. These are people who have these people have children. These people are people. They are the sons of certain. They're the sons of certain black. Oh, not certain. They're the sons of black parents. So felt conflicted in it, but I do recognize that. Yeah, man. A lot of the drill movement caused a tide of violence throughout the nation because Chicago was that it was that influential. Almost like the way, I guess, when the movie Colors came out and all of that, the way people glamorized the Crips and Bloods, violence and street violence, and disrespecting ops to the biggest level, and even certain terminology was popularized from Chicago. Smoking on this pack, making folks a pack, and all that. People was taking that and running with it in other states, and trying to pick up that flag of disrespect and see how long they could fly it in hopes of building badges of or creating badges of honor for themselves, and while at the same time catapulting their music career. So I realized that the drill movement has caused a lot more harm than good. It's helped a lot of young black men escape poverty, but at the same time, it's led to certain violence being incensed, or more violence being ignited. So I don't know, y'all, but y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all agree with me? But again, I feel like a hypocrite itself. I can talk about all I want to, but I'm still listening to, Chief Keef, Dirk. I'm still listening to Polo G now. Like, I'm still listening to King Louis and Duck and all them dudes. I'm still listening to the music, so I don't know, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Machiavelli Mills TV. I'm out. Peace.